Hello everyone, good morning. Bit of a different intro this morning. I'm bringing you along on a little errand. So I am currently walking up the road. I'm taking pictures of potholes this morning. If that's not the influencer lifestyle, I don't know what is. We'll get on to like the Rio Ngumoha fee and what Arne Slot's been saying, all that like not important stuff. But this morning, potholes. I mean, just look at that, like, look at that. Look how fucking deep that is. Look at that. That's not even the worst one. I mean, if a road ever summed up Liverpool's season, lads, it's this. Look at the fucking size of that. Jesus Christ. Like here we have it, the normal start. And then there's just like the Galatasaray loss, the Man United loss, the Nottingham Forest loss, the PSV loss. Look at that, like, look at that. We are back in the studio. Thank you very much for indulging me in my pothole wars this morning. If you do want more pothole content, you know where to subscribe to. Anyway, we are here to discuss the Liverpool news. My name is Conor. I'm going to take you through all the news, and there's some news around the fee Liverpool will pay Chelsea after a tribunal hearing over Rio Ngumoha. That was quite interesting. There was some quotes from Arne Slot around the transfer window and him missing out on Geertruida and wanting to strengthen the squad and a few other bits. We have some bits around Joshua Adey. He's a 15-year-old in Liverpool's academy who has been training with the first team, so we're going to discuss that and then a few other bits and pieces as well. So please do hit the like button before we get into it, hit the subscribe button, and yeah, let's jump into the news. First up then, from David Ornstein, the tribunal hearing for Rio Ngumoha has concluded and Liverpool have been ordered to pay a fee for him. So David Ornstein writes, a tribunal has ruled that Liverpool will pay a maximum of £6.8 million, which is about the same amount of potholes on my road, for the signing of Rio Ngumoha from Chelsea in 2024. They will pay an initial fee of £2.8 million plus £4 million in add-ons relating to senior appearances, contracts and England caps. Chelsea will also receive 20% of profit on any future sale. Now, I'm not 100% sure what the ruling is on like why these tribunals happen. It's basically like developmental fees, like if you take young players. The last one off the top of my head I can remember is Danny Ings when we got him from Burnley, because I think he was like 22 or 3 at the time. I actually went back to look at the Danny Ings situation, and it's a very similar case. So back then we had to pay 6.5 million up front with an extra 1.5 million in player performance related bonuses. And then Burnley also had a 20% sell-on fee. When we did sell him to Southampton, then they got 20% of 18 million, which was 3.6. So very similar kind of ruling. We paid less for Rio Ngumoha, obviously, because like he has less senior experience. I'd imagine stuff like that would come into play, especially with the Danny Ings one, like he was already playing in the Premier League and stuff. So, but look, ultimately we're going to pay just shy of £7 million maximum plus 20% if we do sell him at some point. But like he's definitely worth a hell of a lot more than that. So I think we've got away with an okay deal there, to be fair. But 20%, it's fairly hefty. Like if he does go for 100 million someday, that's £20 million. But yeah, interesting one there. But yeah, that has been settled. Just shy of £7 million, £6.8 million maximum, plus 20% of the future sale if that happens. Moving on to the manager then, there was some quotes last night. I believe some stuff was from the Sky interview and some stuff was from the embargoed section of the press conference. But he was speaking about Liverpool missing out on signing Luciano Geertruida and admitted he did want to strengthen the team. So he said, I think I've said that we've tried to strengthen the squad, so that probably tells you I wanted players. And I don't think I was the only one who wanted that, but it's always about availability and the right player. We do have discussions about what is good for the short and for the long term of the club. And now, for example, Jeremy Jacquet wasn't available for the winter, but he was for the summer. I'm very happy with the squad, let that be clear, but it's all clear and obvious that we have 3 long-term injuries. That's why we tried to strengthen the squad in the winter break, and the players you mentioned, Geertruida, in the end wasn't available, but we tried to strengthen the squad, that is clear. And that tells you that we think that it would have helped us, but it should be possible that we're not going to sign players that are good enough to play for this club. So it does seem like Arne Slot did want more players in, like of course Geertruida was his captain at Feyenoord, the player he's very familiar with, a player who would have had a bit of Premier League experience as well. I'm sure he really would have wanted that deal to happen, but ultimately it didn't. He was then speaking about understanding the constraints he works with at Liverpool despite wanting more options. I have always worked the same, I always want the best for the club. Of course sometimes there is interest from an individual, could be a player or a manager, but I always want the best for the club, even if in the short term it is not ideal for me. I am not saying it is, but if it means this, I would always go for the signing that's best for the club. I knew which club I went into. This club has a model of signing talented players younger. I have always liked to work in that way. I am also the head coach and not the manager. I prefer this because the amount of work you have to do as a head coach is so much, I wonder how people could have done those 2 jobs. I don't have time to watch 10 live games of a new player coming in, and if I do, I cannot have time to do my job as a head coach as I am doing now. He's being very honest there, to be fair to him. Like, it is like a lot of work just to do one or the other. Like, it really does give you more respect. Like, we obviously respect Jurgen Klopp, but even more again, that he was doing everything. Like, he was basically the sporting director by the time he left. Like, he was basically like running the club And obviously the new system now where like Slot is the head coach and you have Richard Hughes and you have your CEO of football as Michael Edwards, and then you have like Billy Hogan, Mike Gordon and all these lads as well, like running the club on a day-to-day basis. So like at least the workload is being spread around, and yeah, it was quite interesting to hear how just like open and honest Arne Slot was about that, but the fact that he's happy that he's just the head coach. He's not in charge of like scouting players and stuff like that. That is down to the scouting team, the recruitment team, and ultimately Richard Hughes. So interesting insight there from Arne on that one. Lewis Steele then said, Arne Slot says it will be a hell of a challenge to keep all his current fit players healthy given the lack of rotation possible, but he is confident Liverpool can achieve goals despite not signing a defender, and he said this squad is able to do better and more than we've done until now. I think he spoke the other day saying we have something like 16 fit outfield players, and that includes young Rio Ngumoha and Trey Neone as well. So like it will be tough, and I'm sure the workload will get to some of the players, but like ultimately we can just hope that we can stay as fit as possible, especially in the defensive line. Like we can probably afford an injury or two in midfield because we have so many options. But yeah, the defensive line is definitely a worry if someone like Kanate or Van Dijk picked up a long-term injury. So fingers crossed that doesn't happen. Let's speak a bit about Joshua Adey then, and I hope I'm pronouncing that right. I was listening to the Academy commentator say his name, and it seems to be Adey rather than like Abe or Abe, so I'm going to say Adey anyway. But he is Liverpool's 15-year-old promising winger, and he has once again been involved in training with the first team. This follows on from, I think he was in training last week as well. Like they really are making a push to keep this lad because there's been so many rumours around other teams sniffing around him. I think he's been like publicly liking posts about him leaving and reposting stuff on TikTok about Arsenal being top of the table and stuff. And I think someone said he's an Arsenal fan. Pull me up on that one if I'm wrong. And his agent is Trent Alexander-Arnold's brother. So there's a few bad omens there. Hopefully, like, if he is training with the first team, he can see that there is a pathway there for him to succeed at this club, and we can hold him down and not let go of him, because like he does look like an absolute star in the making. So yeah, hopefully that one can be resolved and he does actually stay here rather than leave him, because it does look like he could leave. Give you some actual insight then. Like, I'm not an academy expert. I see the occasional clip, but I can't profess to say I watch many of the academy games. But Lewis Bohr on X, he basically covers the academy stuff, and he wrote this good piece here that I'm going to read out to you quickly. So he said, naturally, Josh Adey is a name that's being bandied around Liverpool spaces at the moment. It would be remiss to constantly peddle the name without some clarity on why he's one of the most sought after names in Europe. Josh Adey is a 15-year-old right winger that has been with Liverpool since the pre-academy stage. This is particularly important as Liverpool, at this age group, normally look to recruit the top 1% of talent in the country, who they feel can make a real impact on the first team. But Joshua Adey is in that category already at the club, one of the most naturally talented players to come from Liverpool's pre-academy in quite some time. It is symbolically important for Liverpool that Adey chooses to continue his career at Liverpool FC. The numbers are eye-catching, but in general play, Adey is one of the most well-rounded players I've seen at this age group. So look, again, super exciting talent. He looks the business, and hopefully we can convince him to stay, because yeah, he just looks like an absolute star in the making. So again, fingers crossed on that one. Quick stat then around Florian Wirtz. So no player has made more passes into a dangerous position than Florian Wirtz, with 110 in the Premier League this season. And his 147 line-breaking passes is ranked 6th among all players as well. So another stat to back up just how good Florian Wirtz has been this season. The most passes into a dangerous position. He's 110. Second place is Morgan Rogers with 93. And in third position is Bruno Fernandes with 92. So he's getting the ball forward. That's the main thing. He's getting into areas where it can be dangerous. Like, we've seen him linking up with Ekitike. We've seen him linking up with Isak when he was on the pitch as well. So going forward, he's going to be an absolute menace. Like, he is just going to have so many assists, so many goals. He's going to cause absolute chaos. And I have no doubt he's going to become one of the best players in the world. I am that convinced at this point that he is that good. Last thing I wanted to bring up this morning, and it's not Liverpool related, it's not even football related, but I just thought it was just too funny not to bring up. So I don't even know where to start with this. It's from Sky Sports, so like it's genuine, it's a real thing, and it's just this phrase at the start I just think is so funny. So the article starts off: fears of penis-based skullduggery have placed ski jumping under scrutiny at the start of the Winter Olympics in Milan. Not to go into too much detail, but apparently people have been injecting stuff downstairs to make themselves bigger so they can get bigger ski suits, which ultimately gives them more like aerodynamics or something. But I just think, like, penis-based skullduggery, if that's not the greatest phrase that's ever been coined in the history of mankind, then I don't know what is. Like, just fair play. Sky Sports, excellent work there. Absolutely chef's kiss of a phrase. Just absolutely perfect. And I will be getting that into every single conversation I can for the foreseeable. So on that note, thank you very much for watching. Hit the like button before you head out. Hit the subscribe button if you're new. And I'll be back at some point in the afternoon, probably about 4 or 5 o'clock, for another news video. And then Craig will have his preview out
for the Man City game at about 7 or half 7 this evening. He will then be back live on Sunday for the watch along, so keep an eye out for that one. 3:15 start, Liverpool versus Man City. Don't miss it. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you very soon.